Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Got some horrible tech. Hello, hello, hello. Testing. Where are you? So there you are. Have some terrible tech issues. Have to get a new cord for the microphone. So bear with me in recording of this audio of my side at least until we can get a new cord. Hopefully it won't be too long. But anyways, I apologize when I was recording this episode. It was fine and dandy. Had a great time talking to Kyle. But then when I was editing, for some reason, it dropped 40 minutes of our conversation. My side, not his side. So that was horrible. So I'm doing the best I can with the audio that he sent me. Going to try. It's a little dry on the humor as it's hard to make someone laugh when you don't remember what you said. Anyways, have you heard about our epic giveaway? I sure hope you have, but if you haven't, you'll want to make sure you're going ahead and signing up for our email list over at gamerleaf@gamerleafgo.com because we got some epic giveaways for all those games that were not collected during our last giveaway or our initial giveaway. And just to tell you, we've got Aetherium. We've also got Greedy Goblins, Mystic Vale, Dark Rock Ventures, Game of Crowns, Gold Mine, and Eruption. So yeah, go ahead and make sure you're signing up for our mailing list over at gamerleaf. No, that's our email address. I mean, gamerleafgo.com. Kind of like Pokemon Go, but gamerleafgo.com because 2 more days and you'll find out all about it. We're going to send something out to our subscribers first, and you'll want to get in on this epic giveaway. So make sure you sign up for our emailing address or our email list, whatever you want to call it. But anyways, on with the interview. Hopefully it is not horrible content. I hope you enjoy it because I really enjoyed this, and this is a great product, especially if you like role-playing games and don't like wasting paper. So maybe it's good for tree huggers, maybe it's not. But anyways, on with our interview with Kyle. And his Kickstarter is almost wrapping up, so you only have a few days to get on it. But he will have pre-orders open. But I suggest you go ahead and back the project if you can. Otherwise, pre-orders, and we'll leave links in the website, show notes, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, go ahead and enjoy this interview. I really hope you do. I know I did.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Welcome to Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf. Tonight I'm joined by a real treat, the creator and mastermind behind a new project that's on Kickstarter, almost finishing up anyways, and sorry to bring it to you so late, but it is actually called Erasable D&D 5th Edition Character Boards. That's awesome, and we're lucky enough to be joined by the creator and mastermind behind this great project. Is that correct? Is that how you fit into line with this, Kyle?
Yes, mastermind is the correct word.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kyle. Now, we don't have to go back very far unless, of course, you were born into board gaming, but how did you get started in the world of tabletop board gaming, or were you born into this? I know I wasn't. My family would play the classics like Sorry and Risk and whatnot, or Monopoly, mainly card games. But then I fell into love with tabletop board gaming a couple years back with my son, Barbarian Leaf. We played an epic game of Blood Rage. That's how we got our start. What about yourself, Kyle? How did you get your start in board gaming?
Well, I wasn't necessarily born into it, but I guess my parents have always had like board games lying around the house. We used to do family board game night, and I would always try to pick the board game for us to play. We would play stuff like Candyland, the general Milton Bradley type games. And then after a while, I was like, well, these games are fun and all, but maybe there's something else out there. And I don't know, there's something about board games that just appealed to me more than video games ever have. I think it's probably just the personal aspect of us playing together. And so then I started getting into a little bit more complicated games, probably with the one everybody starts out with, Settlers of Catan. And then that's like the gateway drug, I guess. And I just started playing all kinds of stuff. Anything I could get my hands on, I was very interested in playing.
What about RPGs? Were you born into that, Kyle? I know I wasn't. I've heard of Dungeons and Dragons and all that, but my friends, they really got into Middle Earth role playing. They'd read the Dragonlance books that I thought were cool, but then they really got into the Lord of the Rings. It was Lord of the Rings. It was a red book, but it was called Middle Earth role playing. We got into that, and just as we were getting into it, just like they did with Magic the Gathering, as soon as I had the money to go ahead and buy the books or the cards or whatever you want to call it to get into the game, they pulled out. I guess the good news is I didn't have to fork over all my money to gaming stores at that young age. My wife took care of that for me for the rest of my life.
So that is a lot more recent, actually. Like I said, I've been playing board games since I was a little kid, but RPGs is far more recent. I didn't start playing Dungeons and Dragons until, and I'm sure this might be the same way for a lot of people my age, but not until I saw the new Stranger Things show. So I saw them playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I was like, hey, I've always heard about that, but I never really, even knew what it was really, and I saw it on the show, and so I was like, okay, I gotta play that. I gotta get into that. So I made a bunch of my friends check it out, and eventually we started playing.
So, Stranger Things, Kyle. Now that is awesome. That's awesome. That's the first time I've heard of somebody doing that. So, yeah, that's really cool. Stranger Things. I really love that show. Really, really love it. I'd never heard of somebody doing that. Did you binge on it?
Well, I saw the first season, and it was pretty good. I watched them slowly, like a couple a day maybe. But the second season, as soon as it came out, I watched the whole season in one day. Kind of ruined it because it was like there's nothing left. But that's what I get.
Now, Kyle, do you think that there will be a third season of Stranger Things? I hope so.
I don't know. I hope so. It's a cool show, and like I said, the Dungeons and Dragons aspect of it, there's a lot to that in the show, and I like that a lot.
Now, Kyle, who is your favorite character or who do you most relate to in Stranger Things?
That's a good question. Oh, probably Bob. You know,
The mom's boyfriend? Is that who Bob was? Bob the boyfriend, I guess?
yeah, Samwise.
I really related to, I think his name was, no, it wasn't Dusty. Actually, I don't remember his name. But he was the white kid with the big old fro. I related to him most as he reminded me most of myself growing up. For sure, for sure.
Oh man, I don't remember. I know what you're talking about. I wasn't even alive during that time, so it's all new to me.
Interesting, interesting. So, Kyle, tell us why you most relate to Bob, as you seem like you're younger and he's a little bit older, per se. Plus, he is the boyfriend of the mom. Why not one of the kids?
Oh, just because I remember him from The Lord of the Rings is all.
I saw the coolest thing when I was in Target. I probably said this during a previous episode. Well, in fact, I know I did. But I saw the coolest thing. It was Stranger Things, and it was in a VHS case. Well, it looked like it was a VHS case. But anyways, that was the coolest thing. I really want to get one. Maybe I'll get one when the next season comes out, or maybe I'll go and find it on Amazon. Now, something the audience is probably dying, well, I know I am at least, dying to know, dying to know is what, or can we go ahead and blame your craze for D&D on this show, Stranger Things? Can we blame the creation of your game as well as your playing RPGs on streaming or on Netflix? What do you say, Kyle? Can we blame Netflix and streaming for your craze in D&D?
Yeah, you're probably right. Probably the streaming's fault. Yes, it's definitely Netflix's fault.
So what I was just saying, Kyle, did you guys even have VHSs back then? I know they have digital movies now. They had Blu-rays and DVDs before that. But yeah, when I was a kid, they had something finagled and called VHSs. Video something something. I don't even remember what it means. But did you have VHS tapes? I know before they had beta tapes. That was before my time. But did you have VHS tapes? So do you even know what I'm talking about, or are you lost just like everybody else listening?
Yeah. We had VHS.
So, Kyle, the word on the street is you recently created something and put it up on Kickstarter. Is that correct? And what can you tell us about it, Kyle?
Yeah, sure did. Okay, so um, we started playing D&D, and I work at a print shop, so I had access to some nice lamination that I could laminate our character sheets, and so we could dry erase on it, and that worked. But there was something missing, and as I was researching really cool stuff I could get to bring the experience out on the table, I came across all sorts of different companies making all sorts of really cool accessories and all kinds of stuff, but I did not see anything like this, my erasable character sheet that I created, and so that wasn't out there, and so I was like, well, the laminated sheet is nice and all, but I want something, with more of a presence on the table. And so I looked around and I found that I have a really great makerspace near my house, and so I checked it out and I learned how to use all the machines and stuff they have in there. It's a pretty small one, but it was perfect for what I wanted to do. They had the laser cutter and they had some other cool tools in there, and I just I knew I wanted to make something cool, and so I just tried to think of anything I could think of to make this idea happen. So eventually I was like, well, just a dry erase board is kind of lame. Everybody can do that, and so I wanted to add the dials to make it even easier, so you don't have to write your health anymore. You can just rotate your dial, and that's where it's at. And so I was just trying to think of all kinds of stuff I could add to make this character sheet a little bit more substantial, something more interesting to hold in your hand than just a sheet of paper, and so this is what I came up with.
You did this in what kind of shop, Kyle? I'm just trying to verify. You did this in what kind of shop? It sounds really interesting.
Sure is, yeah. So there's a lot of places all over I assume the world. I know there's a lot over this country, America. But they are these really great places where you donate. A lot of them have like a monthly subscription type deal. I mean, subscription isn't the right word. It's like a monthly donation you get, or a membership, basically. That's the word. And so I pay a monthly membership to be a part of this space, and you get access to all their tools. They have 3D printers, they have laser cutters, they have CNC machines. Our location doesn't have a CNC. It's not quite that large, but some of them do. There's one in Dallas, which is too far from me, but they have all kinds of stuff. So there's lots of those kinds of places around here. If you guys out there have some cool idea but you don't have the tools, Makerspace is probably your best bet. That was for me, at least.
Sounds like a finagled contraption of home ec and wood shop. Did you have these going through school or whatnot? I know you're younger and all, but yeah, so that's interesting. Did you have those growing up in your high school? I know I did in mine.
So they did. My year in middle school, my year was the very last year they were doing that type of course. And so woodshop and home ec, they both ended right after my year. And so that was I was kind of disappointed because I wanted to try out the woodshop, but they stopped funding it. So
It's called what again, Kyle? What's it called again?
yeah, well, I mean, the general term, I guess, is makerspace, but I'm sure they all have different names. Like the one nearby me is called the lab, and I'm using air quotes when I say that.
Okay, so when you say that, the lab, in air quotes, I want to call it what? Sam's Club Home Ec Wood Shop? Would that be comparable, or would that be a good term? Sam's Club Home Ec? What do you say?
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's a Sam's Club wood shop. I like that.
Well, you heard us coin the phrase Sam's Club Woodshop here on Getting Geeky with Game Relief first. Speaking of first, Kyle, can we go ahead and say you heard about this great project here on Getting Geeky with Game Relief first? We always like to bring people exclusive content. What do you say?
Yep, this is the only podcast I'm doing, so that's it. So, yeah, thanks for having me, by the way. It's really cool.
No problem, no problem. Now, with this project that you had, I saw something where it looks like there's dials. What are those all about? Actually, audience and Kyle, I hate to do this or I hate to even say this, but I actually have no idea what question I asked you here. So go ahead and audience, use your imagination. Ask Kyle anything, and in this next phrase, he's going to go ahead and answer you with his best answer. Hopefully, it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so there's also the other piece, the spell sheet, where you can write down all your spells and you use your spell slots, and those are constantly changing throughout the game. So I just wanted to make it easier on you, so you just have a dial to rotate, and then you don't have to constantly erase and rewrite like you would have to do on a paper sheet.
Sorry, Kyle, my audience can be quite imaginative.
Yeah, they have the dials are there at the bottom of the spell sheet, and there's one for each level.
So I did ask about dials. That's cool. What can you tell us about the spell dials, Kyle?
Well, I know a lot of people use spell cards, and those have all the spell descriptions and the levels. But the main thing that restricts you from using spells is the number of slots you have, and that those are what I am tracking with the dials. And so whenever you use a spell of a certain level, you'll use up one spell slot, and so that'll go down. And then you can restore them by taking a short or long rest during your session.
When did you come up with this whole finagled, awesome idea, Kyle? Or did you say?
So yeah, no, I guess I didn't say, but because I talked about Stranger Things, I guess that was only. I'm trying to think of when the first season was released. Not that long ago, maybe a year. So not very long, and like I said, I did a lot more board gaming first before I did role-playing games. But I'm also interested in tabletop miniatures games. The big thing right now is the Star Wars Legion. I'm sure you've encountered that.
What can you tell us about that game, Kyle?
So that's separate from my D&D adventures. It's just a miniatures game that uses the Star Wars figures, and I just really liked it, and I'm sure a lot of people did. Same reason, because it's Star Wars, and so I just had to get those little miniatures and paint them. So I mean, it's exactly what I was doing in D&D, painting the little miniatures for my monsters to try and kill my players, which I have not successfully been able to do yet, but one of these days I'll be able to kill those player characters, don't you worry.
Watch out, Kyle's group. He's coming for you. So, Kyle, when you do finally kill these players, can they just go ahead and crumple up the boards and start with a new one, or how does that work?
Absolutely not. No, you can just so The cool thing about this character board is, and I've said it multiple times, but I just think it's kind of funny that a cool feature about it was unintended. So when I was first making the prototypes, I was using the dry erase on the surface, and it erases fine right away. And then I let it sit for a day, and I came back and I tried to erase it, and it would not erase. And so it was a lot like a wet erase marker might be, where it's semi-permanent. So after the first day of writing, so after your first session, everything you've written down there becomes semi-permanent, and then you just take a cloth with some sort of cleaning solution. They have a lot of like dry erase board cleaning solutions out there. I know that there are, like I said, there's multiple options, but what I found is the best, actually, if you're trying to erase completely, is the isopropyl alcohol. So you just get a little bit of that and you put it on a rag and you can wipe everything off. And I like that because it becomes a little bit more permanent and you don't have to worry about wiping it off or scratching it off during your game. So if you wanted to start over, you wanted to make a new character, you can always just wipe everything off and you don't have to worry about wasting paper because you just use this one board for all your characters.
So Kyle, is it just a piece of plywood or what?
So it's on MDF. I like the texture. It's not got a lot of grain in it to distract you and make it difficult to see what you're writing. So it's just a couple of sheets of that. There's one, the top sheet is the one that takes the longest because there's a lot of stuff to engrave on there. And then the bottom layer is a little bit thicker and it houses the dials. And then at the very bottom is that felt layer. I just put that at the bottom. One to cover up my the dials being connected together onto the board, and also just because it'll help stop you from accidentally scratching your table, and it just feels nice too, to be honest.
So I deal a lot with board games and role-playing games, not so much accessories like this. And with board games and role-playing games, when I talk to the creators, they oftentimes talk about play testing. Now, was anything like this ever done with your character boards, or I guess your Erasable D&D 5e character boards? Any playtesting or anything?
Yeah, so I have let one of my players take one of my earlier prototypes to use, and she has found it extremely useful. Just because she's one of those types that finds it very tedious to constantly have to erase. And so I was like, well, here, check this out, what I'm making. See if you like it. And so she really likes it. And one of the things that we noticed is on the spell board is in my earlier prototype, it was a lot smaller and it was really difficult to fit all your writing in there. So I guess it's kind of an advantage and a disadvantage to what I'm making here is there's no second side like you would have on a sheet of paper, so I can't just move everything over to the other side because I'm run out of room. So I tried to maximize the space that I had and fit as much as possible on the board as I could. And so I actually had to increase the size to make sure that you can still write just fine without having to, try to squeeze all your words in there. And so I actually made it a little bit larger, and that is why, and this is what really bothers me, is it's so expensive to ship because it goes in such a large box. And so that was my first real encounter with the pain of shipping, and there's not a lot I can do, unfortunately, about that. But as I mean, this is not necessarily the only version I'll ever make. I have to imagine at some point I'll find a new way to make it again. But for now, at least, I really like the way it's working out, and I like the big solid piece. And it's wider than your your normal 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I mean, here in America, it's 8.5 by 11. It's a little bit shorter actually than that, so you don't have to worry about your space, your play area taking up too much of the center of the table, where I usually put my maps and my miniatures and stuff for the players to interact with. So you don't have to worry about it too much going too far into that space, because it's not quite as tall, but it's wider, so I fit more space in that wide area, and so there was more room for all kinds of stuff, like I said, to fit all the 9 levels of spells or all of the notes you want to take.
So shipping, I think that's what I asked, but once again, I have a goldfish memory. So audience, go ahead and imagine the question, and Kyle's about to answer it for you.
So here in the US, it costs $12 to ship, which is a little bit crazy. Well, actually, that's not true. It actually costs $15 to ship, but I am eating a little bit of that cost because I know that I especially, and I know a lot of people don't like to pay too much for shipping, so I'm trying to help you guys out a little bit for that. So I am taking a little bit of that cost off of the customer or the final owner of the product. So I'm offering it for 12, and that's for both pieces, and they'll come in a pretty sizable box.
I hope he got that answer spot on. I bet he did. Now, altogether, what's this going to put someone out, or what are they going to have to pay to get these erasable D&D 5e character boards so they can have them and not have to crumple up paper anymore, Kyle, or not have to hug trees or whatnot? I imagine you just destroy one tree, so not so much tree huggers as opposed to, well, I guess they could be tree huggers, but I don't want to offend anybody. But what's this going to put somebody back in Benjamins, shall we say? Wait, it probably won't cost any Benjamins. But what's the final cost? I guess that's the question I'm going for, Kyle. What can you tell us about that?
So this I posted it on Facebook, and I got some comments about the price, and a lot of people were not super happy about the total cost. And unfortunately, I mean, I understand, because it is a little bit higher than some people might have thought. To get both pieces, it comes out to $80 US. And that's just because of the time it takes to laser engrave that huge surface, and then to assemble it and make sure it's all very nice product. But then the shipping, like I said, is $12 in US. And so a lot of people, and understandably, they were not super enthused about the cost. So to make up for that, I made a condensed version. It's smaller, and it takes 1/3, actually a little less than 1/3 of the time to produce as the full-size character board. And that one is for $25, and that comes with a character board and also a spell slot tracker, so the same dials. It's a lot smaller though, so you can't fit all of your written out spells, but for those people that like the idea but not necessarily the price of the full size version, I wanted to make sure that they could at least check it out, and if they wanted to even have the final product, but not they didn't want everything that was on there, this is pretty much my solution to that. So it fits just the essential stuff, and everything that's not super necessary, like for example the section that you write down all your weapons on, that one's not on there, and so that helped me save a lot of space and make it a lot cheaper. So I hope that a lot of people who like the idea will at least check that one out.
Hey, Kyle, are you still there? Once again, my audio is crapping out on me. I apologize. Well, it got a little bit louder, so that's good. But anyways, Kyle, how did you go about selecting your funding goal for this great project?
Yeah, so that was for the 50 full-size character boards, and that was also including the cost of the shipping company that I am partnering with, because like I said before, it's kind of expensive, so they are helping me with a tiny bit of a discount, so that's how I was able to get it for a little bit cheaper, the shipping, and so that was also to cover that cost as well. So I have actually today I reached 100 backers, which is really exciting, and especially for my first Kickstarter. And so I think there's about 40 of the character board backers, the ones who want the full-size one or the condensed one, which is not necessarily exactly my goal, but I absolutely am excited to get those out to these people that are interested in my project.
So, Kyle, it's really late in the campaign, and I apologize for that. But what about all those people that might be listening after the fact of the campaign and might want to take a look at these? What about those people that are listening after the campaign? Will they be able to go ahead and find or get these great erasable D&D 5e character boards after the fact, or what say ye?
Yeah, there definitely is. So once I purchase the laser cutter, that the entire Kickstarter campaign is to fund that, basically, and then I'm paying for the rest of the supplies, the what do you call it, the shipping, the everything else is gonna come out of my own money, and the Kickstarter funds are going to fund this laser cutter so I can help get the business off the ground. Like I said, so once I purchase that and I start production, then I will take pre-orders, and anyone who didn't get a chance to get in on the Kickstarter can absolutely put their name in the hat. Not that it's a drawing. I just mean...
What kind of hat are we looking at here, Kyle? Is it going to be... I don't know. What kind of hats are there?
Probably just, baseball cap.
Not a top hat? I think I like a top hat, Kyle.
No, I can't say that I have a whole lot of access to top hats, but I have plenty of baseball caps. Sure, I could try. Yeah, absolutely.
Couldn't you just go ahead and make a wooden top hat, Kyle?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. Kickstarter canceled. I need a top hat.
I really wish my audio would make up its mind. Anyways, Kyle, so you're making the D&D 5e character boards that are erasable. Now, what about for other RPG games? Because unfortunately, D&D 5e is not the only system out there, is it?
Yes, I have gotten a bunch of... Well, I don't want to say a bunch. I have gotten a few people asking about when I'm going to make one for other systems, I guess the word is. And I'd absolutely love to make some for other systems. I just have not played any other systems before. The only one I've played is Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, because that was out when I started playing. And so this project is only for D&D 5e, but in the future, especially after I get this laser cutter and I get a little bit more of an audience, I will absolutely begin designing ones for other systems. I know the big one that a lot of people that don't play D&D play is Pathfinder, and that one I've actually I have a little bit of a prototype for that one, but it's difficult to fit all the Pathfinder stuff on one sheet, so I'll have to work on that one a little bit more before I release that. And that was actually a little bit, it's on topic but off topic. That's why I picked Dungeons & Dragons 5e, not only because I played it so I know what is going to need to go on there, but also because it's kind of simple compared to something like Pathfinder. There's a lot less that goes on a character sheet, and so I could fit more important stuff and not have to worry about filling or running out of room because I've filled up the space with every single little box or word that needs to go on there. So I am going to work on ones for other systems. I might need some input from other people, and people, especially people who have played those systems and they know what's important and what's not, because I probably won't be able to fit everything on the character board just because it's only one side. But I absolutely want to do it for other systems for sure.
So Kyle, how would others go about getting a hold of you to go ahead and have you help them create erasable character boards for their specific RPG systems and whatnot?
Yeah, so if you want to get in contact with me, I'm on all the social medias that matter. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and I'm on Tumblr. Not a lot of following on Tumblr, but that's because I always forget to tag my posts, but that's okay. You can contact me on any of those locations, or if you want to do email, my email is kyle@kepri-creations.com. You can get in contact me with any of those, and I'd absolutely love to hear your ideas or maybe even your suggestions for other systems, like you said.
I know you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, so if somebody goes ahead and takes a chance on Erasable D&D 5e character boards, when should they anticipate getting these great erasable character boards for their D&D 5 edition campaigns or whatnot, Kyle?
Yeah, so I made the goal to have. Wow, that was quite a sentence that I just said. I'm gonna retry that sentence. I I wanted the goal to be November, just because I knew it's gonna take me a little bit longer to get set up, as I'm doing this out of my garage, and I don't have an actual shop really. So I wanted to have a little bit extra time to get set up and get everything going, and then once production begins, I'm sure I'll get into the groove of things, and it'll go faster than I expect. And so it probably, I don't want to say for certain that it's going to happen sooner than November, but I think it is likely that it won't actually take the full time that I've set out for it.
Now, where are you doing all this, Kyle? I'm a future reader, so I'm thinking in your parents' garage. Where are they parking their cars or whatnot?
Yeah, so I'm living in my parents' house because rent is free, and they've graciously allowed me to take one half of the garage for working on my business, and also to keep all my junk out of the dining room. But anyway, I have basically turned it into my workspace here. I got some free shelves from work. I got my friend to build me a table, and it's a pretty nice little space, and the best part about it is it's free, so I can definitely get started here, but hopefully maybe I can move on to bigger and brighter spaces. That's my goal.
See, people, I'm a time teller, or whatever you would call it. But anyways, Kyle, not to detract or whatnot, I saw something about dice on your project. What is this all about?
Yeah, there sure are. So every order, or they're not order, every tier comes with the little D20 I've designed, and I also added one low-cost tier, the $5 tier, to get one if people just wanted to get the die, or they wanted to contribute in at least a small amount. So yeah, I designed a little D20, and Q Workshop is going to be producing those. They do all those real cool designs that you've probably seen in the stores. they make some real cool sets. So I designed a D20, and I put my little logo I made on there, and I just tried to make it as close to my logo in color as I could, and with the options that they have. And so they provided that really nice render, and I can't wait to get those for everybody who's backed the project. It's going to be really exciting.
And do they have all the numbers on them? I'm looking at some of them, and it looks like some places just have the symbol. Is that right? Or what can you tell us about the dice?
Oh, yeah. My little logo is on the 20, but the rest are your standard numbers.
Okay, awesome. And so that's your logo? Is that what it is? That's the design on it?
Mm-hmm. I had to simplify it a little bit just because of their production requirements, but that is the little beetle that I designed for my logo for Kepri Creation.
Awesome. And it sounds like design is not only in this Kickstarter, but you might be going to school for that?
Yeah, I am currently going to school at University of Texas at Dallas, and I'm in the design program. The actual program is the art and technology program. They don't have a design specific pathway, but I'm getting as much design as I can out of it because it's a school that is close by, actually, so I can just drive there. It was kind of the perfect school. So I'm trying to get as much design as I can out of this school because that's what I really like to do. That's what I want to keep doing.
Well, there you go. And with it not being specific, how does that look like? Is it you get some design here and some design there, and is other stuff mingled in, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it is a lot of, it's really focused on computers. It's basically a tech school because it was founded by the people from Texas Instruments. But there is, so like I said, there's a really big focus on computers, but there is also a really nice art program, and so there's a little bit of combination between the two of those, and so I'm trying to get or at least take the classes that have something to do with design as much as I can.
Okay, cool. And it sounded like, well, you're probably busy with school or whatnot, so that sounded like it might slow down the delivery of this, especially with getting the 100 or more backers that you now have. How will that look?
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely anticipated that. So like I said, that's why I picked November as the final delivery date. So I have plenty of extra time. I gave myself more than enough time, just in case school ends up being a little bit of a hassle. Not a hassle, but, affecting the production of this project. It definitely is not going to stop me from getting everything delivered. But like I said, that's why I picked November. So I have plenty of extra time, and I don't want to promise something too early and then I'm not able to get there because of my schedule.
Yeah, you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Right, yeah. But even though I have other things going on, this is something I really enjoy, and I definitely don't want to I don't want people to be disappointed because it's something I want to keep doing, and I plan to make cooler, better things in the future. Not that this isn't cool. This is pretty cool, if I'm being honest.
For sure. Now, we usually do this a lot earlier in the episode, but I've been really intrigued. Now, per se, somebody's fallen asleep, Kyle. It wouldn't be because of you or these awesome Erasable D&D 5e character boards. It'd be because of me and my podcast. We're almost all the way through April, and by tomorrow morning we'll have about 61 episodes out for the year. So they get a little tired of hearing me drone on and on. Maybe some of my questions are boring. Maybe I ask the same questions to different people and whatnot. So they get a little tired of me. So they've fallen asleep. But now they're suddenly jolted awake so they don't hit that oncoming traffic, Kyle. And so now you have their full attention. why should they go ahead and take a chance on erasable D&D 5e character boards, especially, well, I guess there's nothing else like that's on Kickstarter, but especially with all the other things in the board game space. They have board games, and they have different 5e and different role-playing games as well as settings. Why should they take a chance on erasable D&D 5e character boards?
All right, yeah. So, like you said, listeners, wake up. Here is why. So, I know that a lot of people, including me, like to upgrade their games, and I know a lot of people, especially, are big fans of places like Wormwood Gaming. Also, I'm going to name drop here. Wormwood Gaming, Dogmite, all those kinds of places that make really cool, fancy tabletop accessories. And so there's a big market for that, and I know that a lot of people are very interested in that kind of stuff. So I wanted to come up with something new, something that, like you said, is not really out there. And this was my idea. And so the people that might have gotten fed up with the erasing of the paper character sheets, or you are sick of having to constantly rewrite your health, that kind of stuff. This is the perfect solution for those kinds of people. Of course, my direct competition is stuff like your iPhone, your tablet. I know a lot of people use those too, but there's something really, really great about having a physical thing out there. That's why everybody uses dice instead of dice rolling apps. That's why people like miniatures instead of just having little markers. Not that there's a problem with markers.
Can't you could use a token? You could use a token from like the Sorry games, couldn't you?
Yeah, well, absolutely, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that too. It's just that there's a lot of people out there, including me, who like to have these physical things on the table to really help you immerse yourself in the role-playing system that you're playing. And so this is one of those things that I think is going to be a really good let's see, how should I word that? A really good way to immerse yourself in the Dungeons and Dragons game you're playing, because it's it looks kind of like something that might be in that universe, kind of, like a blacksmith came up and he made this magical tablet. It's kind of what it reminds me of, and it really helps me get in the mood and get involved in the game, and it's one of those things that I think a lot of people are going to like.
Yeah, awesome. And you talk about people not wanting to have their phones on the table and whatnot. My wife was always teasing me. Well, I guess first off, it was watches. I used to be able to go through watches all the time. I had to get a watch all the time, and then now she teases me about phones because I've constantly having to get a new phone or whatnot. So yeah, it's like this, but this it sounds like this might be a little bit more permanent as opposed to having to change your phone if your phone outdates, or mine hasn't been necessarily outdating things, just like them breaking or whatnot. But this sounds like it might be a little bit more durable than a phone or a piece of paper.
Oh yeah, well, it's definitely more durable than a piece of paper. This is going to last you quite a long time. This will last you through all your characters. And as a DM, I don't intend necessarily to kill your character, but sometimes it happens, and so it's going to happen, and it'll last you through all your characters, and you don't have to constantly have to print out a new sheet. You have this beautiful character board you can use, and I know that it's more fun, in my opinion, to play without my phone. it's just like I said, it's more engaging when you are sitting there at the table with a physical thing, and you can really get into the mindset of your character and not have to be pulled out of the role playing aspect of it because your phone is there.
For sure. Now, per se, I know you just talked about offing your character if you're as the DM. do you ever do that in the middle of a game?
Well, I don't always stop it from happening. I haven't killed any of my characters yet, my player characters, but they've gotten close. They are not happy about it too often, but it's part of the game, so it happens.
So if they get killed mid-game, and I don't know how it works with your game. It's been a while since I played Middle-earth role-playing game growing up or whatnot. So if they die mid-game with this board, if they're allowed I guess it would be up to the DM or whatnot, or whoever's in charge, if they're allowed to come straight back into the game, is this something they can erase and quickly, I don't know how quick it is to make a character, but is this something they can go ahead and erase and make another character straight from scratch while the other people are taking their turns, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said earlier, if you get a rag and you get a cleaning solution, you just wipe it all off, same way you would do with your eraser. You'd erase all the pencil markings, and then you can just start from scratch again. So you don't have to worry about getting a whole new sheet printed out because you already have this character board out. You just have to erase it and rewrite everything. Now, that sounds like a lot of work, but that's what happens when you die. That's what you get for dying.
So it's your own fault.
Just kidding, yeah.
Yeah, it's your own fault. I know before we blamed Netflix for we blamed Netflix for Kyle being able to get into D&D, and then we blamed, I don't know if we can we blame Netflix for you coming up with this too?
Yeah, let's blame Netflix.
Okay, but if you die during the game, it's neither Kyle's nor the DM's fault. It's your own fault, I guess, or the dice.
That's right. Absolutely.
There you go. So yeah, this is awesome. So make sure, even if it's after the campaign, to go ahead and come back here. We'll make sure we leave a link in the show notes or whatnot. But if you are listening and it's still going on, this goes through the 30th of April. Is that right, Kyle?
That's right.
Yeah, so make sure, I know you may be lazy and may not want to type it in or whatnot, because maybe you're lazy and you want to be able to just, instead of getting a new piece of paper.
That's me.
You'll want to go ahead and get this board. So instead of typing it in, you can go ahead and click the link that's on the show notes, and it'll bring you straight there to the Kickstarter. And he said you're gonna leave the pre-orders open after the fact.
Yeah. So like I said, once production starts, that's when I'll open up for pre-orders, and then I will begin production on those pre-orders after the Kickstarter orders have shipped. And I'll keep everybody updated on the status of my workshop and how it's coming along and when production will start by social media. So you just got to follow me there to check that out. And I'll also post updates in the Kickstarter for the backers, of course, as well. But if you didn't get a chance, or you might want some more later, they will always be there for pre-order. And then after the pre-orders are all taken care of, then they'll be up on the store and they'll be out for normal sale again after that.
And where is the pre-orders of the normal store? Is that like Capri.com, or, well, I guess not Capri, however you say that. I forget how you say that.
Yeah, so my website is Khepri-creations.com. So that's Khepri, the Egyptian god Khepri, Khepri-creations.com. So that's where I have a couple other things I've made up there for sale. But I'm also going to be selling these boards there in the future for sure.
So Khepri, not Capri, like the drinks or the
the pants.
Yeah, is it drinks or is it shorts? Yeah, maybe it's shorts that women wear, capris as well, I think.
Yeah, no, it's the name of the Egyptian creator god. So that's kind of how I came up with the name. Khepri is the scarab beetle that rolled the sun across the sky. he created the earth, and so I'm not trying to, say that I am as good as that, but I got a big head here.
But when it comes to erasable D&D 5e character board...
But no, I hope you guys can tell I am proud of this project, and I hope that you guys, the listeners, are out there and you are interested in this project too, because I'm really proud of what I've created here.
For sure. Awesome. Now, so this is awesome. So make sure you go ahead and click that link so you can go ahead and follow that. And if you don't get the chance, if the Kickstarter is over, we'll go ahead and get the link from Kyle and leave that in the show notes for the pre-order as well as the store, so you can always go back and do that. So that's awesome, and go ahead and click that, and hopefully we can get that even. I know the more backers you get, the longer it's going to take to deliver, but hopefully we can get a couple more backers out of the people listening and whatnot. I know I'm pretty excited about this, even though I don't play D&D 5th edition. So that's awesome. Now, I don't know if you've listened to any of our episodes or not. If you haven't, that's okay, Kyle. But the next portion of our podcast, I know you talked about getting the phones away from the table. That's why you made this. But the next portion of our podcast is called Adventures in Application Acquisition, where we talk about an app, be it for your cell phone, your tablet, your computer, or even a video game. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be related to tabletop board gaming or RPGs or character boards, because we definitely want to not do character boards, so they can go ahead and use the erasable D&D 5e character board.
That's right. Don't do those.
But is there an app you use a lot of that we can talk about for a moment, Kyle?
I don't have any games on my phone, but the app I use the most, I guess, I've got it up here and I'm scrolling through them. I would say probably Snapchat and Instagram, both of those. I like to see what my friends are up to, because I'm a pretty boring person in real life. I don't do a whole lot. I just kind of sit here and play board games. But it's cool to see what everybody else is doing, and social media is a good way to do that.
Well, there you go. So now your secret's out. You weren't supposed to tell people that, Kyle, that you're boring.
Yeah, sorry guys, it's true.
Anyways, so I've heard of Instagram. I think we've talked about that a couple times on the podcast, and I was using it for a while before, like I talked about phones being destroyed. I actually got to go ahead and put it on my new phone because I think it has space, so I don't have to keep deleting stuff and whatnot. But what about Snapchat? I'm a little bit older and haven't necessarily checked that out, but what can you maybe there's other people out there like me that haven't used that or whatnot. What can you tell us about that application, and I guess Snapchat in general?
Well, a lot of us folks, young folks like me, we, the texting age, I guess we'll say, is kind of is going away, and it's more fun to communicate with pictures, I guess. Same way with Instagram. There's just something a little bit more personal about using photos instead of text messages, because there's not a lot of emotion you can get across with just text. I guess you can do maybe italics, but not a lot of texting apps can do italics, or you can use capital letters. But like I said, there's not a lot of emotion you can express using text. And so with pictures, I'm sure everybody's heard pictures are worth 1,000 words. That's very cliche, but it's true. So it's a little bit more personal to send a selfie to someone, or send a photo of what you're working on to somebody else, instead of just describing it by text.
Instead of sending emoticons or whatnot, do I take a picture of myself smiling, or how does that work?
You sure can. Or I like to take a picture of myself in the ugliest pose I can make, and that's my favorite one to do.
Oh, there you go. So that I can go ahead and take a picture of my ugly mug, and people won't necessarily get mad.
Yes, exactly. That's the fun of it.
Awesome.
Especially because they can't save it, so they can't save this terrible picture I've just given to them.
What happens to it? It just disappears after a while?
Sure does, yeah.
Well, there you go. That's awesome. So, per se, you own the rights to Snapchat, Kyle.
And I do.
What would be one thing you would do to make it better or fix it?
Oh, well, the app sucks. It runs terribly on every phone. So, since I own the rights to Snapchat, I will fix that. But the other people who don't own the rights to Snapchat, who say they do, those people could maybe help me out a little bit by fixing their app.
How would they make it better? How would they fix it?
That's a great question. I don't know what's wrong with it. I mean, like, the functionality is good. It just runs very poorly on every...
Does it constantly crash, or does it just go really slow to take a picture, or what?
Yeah, it's real slow. It does crash a lot. But for some reason, that's the way it is on everybody's phone that I've asked. I'm not really sure why exactly, but it's still one we like to use just because of the functionality, what it's good at.
Okay, so if anybody, we try to make a green podcast, Kyle, around here. So if anybody who, I guess you said air quotes, doesn't own the rights or doesn't have anything to do with the creation or anything to do with Snapchat, air quotes, is listening, you can go ahead and make the functionality or help it not crash as much or something. People are still using the app, but you could do that to make it a little bit better, according to Kyle. And you heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief.
Exactly, right.
There you go, there you go. Now, we don't want to keep you all night, Kyle. I know you got to get on with creating these great erasable D&D 5e character boards, but we wanted to thank you for coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. And in case somebody's still with us and they were sleeping before you told us, mind us coming there to your hometown to stalk you, how would people go about finding out about you or what you have going on?
Yeah, so if you do want to come stalk me here in Texas, I'll give you some advice. Do not, because I don't want that. But if you want to check out my project or anything else I'm going to be doing, I do have my website, kepricreations.com, and I also am on all social medias, well, all the ones that I think matter. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Tumblr, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter. And so if you want to see what I'm up to...
You said you're on Snapchat too, or does that count?
Oh, that's for personal use, so don't contact me on Snapchat.
Okay, so don't stalk him in Texas or don't go to Snapchat, but he told you all the other ways you can go ahead and, I guess, stalk him in so many words.
Yeah, exactly. I will give you all of my personal information and you can come check it out. But no, I will be sharing things for quite a while. So I hope to keep this business going, keep the ideas flowing. So I'm going to be sharing all kinds of cool new stuff in the coming years.
Well, there you go. There you go. So it's not a one and done. So yeah, like I said, we don't want to keep you all night, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us, Kyle.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for having me.
No problem.
It's time for Kickstarter Corner. To begin now.
Are y'all still with me? I sure hope so. But anyways, I don't know what's going on with the audio. So if you can hear me, once again, I'd like to remind y'all about the upcoming epic giveaway that we're going to have on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Just a reminder about that. If you've already signed up for our mailing our emails, you can do that, and if you haven't, do it again, or do it if you haven't over at Game Relief at GameReliefGo.com for an epic giveaway. There's our audio back. Sorry about that. I don't know, this is ridiculous, but luckily, hopefully you're still with us so you can find out about this great giveaway. But so the games that were never claimed back when we did our initial giveaway, anyways, you have a chance to win a whole heck of a lot of games. Aetherium, Greedy Goblins, Mystic Vale, Dark Rock Ventures, Game of Crowns, Gold Mine, or Erruption. And, oh no, not or, and you get all of these games if you go ahead and sign up. It's going to be a great epic giveaway from Getting Geeky with Game Relief in the coming days. So make sure you're signed up for our mailing list over at GameReliefGo.com. That's kind of like PokemonGo.com. But now that our audio's back, shall we tell you about some great games for Kickstarter Corner as to not make Princess Leaf's clip about it's time for Kickstarter Corner be a total crock? I guess we better. So anyways, the great games that we have, we've got Mobster Metropolis. Create your syndicate, rise to power, invest in turfs and recruits, or conduct drive-bys in order to become the most powerful gangster boss in this great 2 to 4 player game. And it's a strategy game as well. And yeah, 13 plus. They're almost $10,000 overfunded. And at the time of recording, they got about 34 hours to go. So yeah, so make sure you jump on that one. And then don't forget about Dobbers Quest for the Key on Kickstarter currently. And this is a great, deck builder where you got, there's a board and you're actually putting down the challenges. I just recently heard Daryll, I know we interviewed him, but I heard him on the Family Gamers podcast, which just released this last Monday, and wow, it was awesome. I guess they actually reviewed the game, so I'll go ahead and try to remember to leave a link in the show notes, but go ahead and listen to the Family Gamers podcast and find out more about this great game from splatteredink.com. Yeah, it's great. And then also No Escape. Now, No Escape is a competitive maze building game, and it's a take that game for 2 to 8 players. I don't know how they got this or when they got this, but actually there's a little sticker on there that says Project We Love. Yeah, it's a Kickstarter Project We Love, so definitely check this one out. Hopefully that'll help them a little bit better. But they got 22 days to go, going through the 17th of May. We sat down with Jonathan and interviewed him. Listen to our interview if you don't believe me. And then go back in time, or not really. I guess go back in the future to Terminator Genisys, Rise of the Resistance. This game is set in 2029, the Terminator universe. It's a co-op 1 to 4 player action adventure game featuring the original campaign set in the 2029 Terminator universe. So definitely check this one out. They got 5 days to go. I hope they make it. They're about 20,000 away from their goal, but they've already almost cleared $60,000. So definitely check that one out. And then you may have saw our interview. No, not our interview. It's actually a review or a preview. Me and Barbarian Leaf finally sat down to preview this game when they had less than 48 hours to go. Right now they're at 41 hours to go. But we previewed Arena, the contest tabletop miniature board game. It's a fantasy tactical combat miniature tabletop game for 1 to 8 players with a co-op dungeon crawler and player versus player team competition. So yeah, definitely go ahead and listen to our preview episode and go ahead and take a chance on this great game. They're over 1,000% funded. You definitely don't want to miss out on the fun that is in this game. Now, you may have listened to our last interview with Jim from Play Smart Dice. You may not have. But either way, check out Election Night. Learn your way to the White House. It's a game night hit that teaches math, geography, and the civics of electoral college. Watch how much fun these kids have in playing this game. Check out the Kickstarter video. And then don't forget about an Atlas of the Horizon RPG. Also interviewed Benjamin about this. It's a tabletop role-playing game of daring adventure, focusing on unique characters, optimistic themes, and fantastic stories. So definitely check that one out. And then the Small Star Empires 2nd Edition and 2 expansions. Build battle stations to gain power and play unique abilities, and build research stations to gain minerals and research technologies. This one is going wild. They were going for $10,618, and they're currently at $36,932, and they've got 16 days to go, going through the 11th of May. Definitely check that one out. And then don't forget about, what else do we got here? We got Dungeon Brawl. It's a customizable free-for-all RPG game. In this board game, your friends are now your enemies, vying for the treasure. Choose a class, create a deck, and destroy your friends. Your dungeon crawl has now become a dungeon brawl. Okay, hopefully the audio is not off. No, it's not. Well, maybe a little louder. But anyways, having some issues. So anyways, last but not least is definitely check out Swords and Cells, Rewrite History in 1000 AD. Swords and Cells is an epic conquest and diplomacy game about leading your armies and fleets through medieval Europe in 1000 AD. They are overfunded, going for stretch goals. They got 3 days to go. Check them out before Saturday, the 28th of April at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Definitely check out this game, and you don't want to be left in the dark or Dark Ages. Or was that 1000 AD? Was it the Dark Ages? I don't know. Anyways, I know with Game Relief, you don't want to be left in the Dark Ages because I know our audio has been bad this whole episode, but you want to check out our mailing list. You want to sign up for it at gamerelief@gamereliefgo.com. Do you know why? Well, if you don't know why and you're still with us, which I hope you are, you can win some awesome games. It's a huge bundle giveaway of Aetherium, Greedy Goblins, Mystic Vale, Dark Rock Ventures, Game of Crowns, Gold Mine, and Eruption. Let's count them out for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. Do you want to win 7 games from Getting Geeky with Game Relief? Go ahead and sign up for our mailing list over at GameReliefGo.com. Once again, that's GameReliefGo.com. Kind of like Pokemon Go, but at GameReliefGo.com. Definitely check that out, and you'll be the first one to hear about it. I apologize for the audio. I lost his audio. No, I lost my audio. So my questions might have not matched up right. Hopefully they did okay. Plus, the cord on my microphone is a little off. So, yeah, I apologize for that. I'll go ahead and get that fixed in the near future. And hopefully you won't have to experience technical difficulties like this. Go ahead and complain. But if you like the show, I hope you did, go ahead and either way, let us know what you think. GameRelief@GameReliefGo.com or Facebook Messenger. Now I've rambled way too long, but yeah, definitely check us out. And well, it's time for you to get on with your lives, us to get on with our lives, and I guess we'll catch y'all on the, you guessed it, flip side. Game Relief out.
Game over. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf and Dreams are respawned.